What's up,
And
guys?
welcome back. Episode 20 of Division Therapy. 20 episodes, man. This has been a lot of fun. I keep getting asked, hey, what are y'all gonna do once the season's over, man? I'm like, I'm not even thinking about that yet. I'm
Well, I
thinking
am.
about
I am. I'm thinking about the season being over because it is for the Mets. We'll get into that. But there's plenty to talk about during the offseason. I'd say there's arguably more to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to get in to these couple series, with the Mets. So
Do we have
let's
to?
get to talking. I'm like, we don't have. We can start with the Braves. Do
No,
you want
no,
to
no,
start with
no,
the
no,
Braves?
no,
Okay,
no,
okay,
no. That would
okay,
be
okay.
that would be weird. Yeah, let's just rip off the Band-Aid series at Cincinnati and then at the Phillies. In 6 games, the Mets went 2-4. Just an absolute disaster of a week for the Mets.
A lot of runs scored against. A lot
A
of
lot of runs
pitching.
scored against, a lot of blowouts, a lot of fresh arms coming up.
Yeah,
First
yeah,
game,
yeah.
Tobias Myers, who they try and pull the wool over our eyes and say, "Oh, we're just stretching him out, and that's why we're sending him down to AAA." No, he sucks.
Nope. He
He
sucks.
sucks, and he showed it in the first game. An inning and a third, 7 earned runs, no walks, no strikeouts. That is when they try to insult the intelligence of a Mets fan. That's when it pisses me off, because a lot of
Yeah.
Mets fans are really intelligent. Like people that are like me and like diehard fans like myself. It's like we can read between the lines.
Yeah.
You don't have to try and pull the wool over our eyes. So that was really frustrating because he just hasn't been good enough. He hasn't been anything as advertised this year. They've tried him in kind of a long relief role. It hasn't really worked. Tried him in, kind of a higher leverage situation. Hasn't really worked. And now has tried him in the rotation, and it still has not worked. It didn't matter because they weren't, you got to score runs to win baseball games. I don't know if you know this, but
I do. Yeah,
but
I do.
they didn't. So, they
Yep,
got shut
yep.
down by one of the best young pitchers in the game, Chase Burns, who just absolutely dominated. And, it was over in the first inning. It was Eugenio Suarez hit a grand slam in, I think, the first or second inning, and I carried on with my night. I watched it, obviously, but it was over. It was over before I think it started at 8:10, I want to say, it being
Yeah.
at Central Time. And the game was over before 9 p.m.
Yeah.
It was just one of those
that's
games.
crazy.
It's
Yeah.
just one of those games, and it was incredibly frustrating because it felt like they had some momentum, like a little bit of momentum coming off the last series, and they just take a giant step backwards. And then, more of the same in the second game of the series with Kodai Senga returning, another guy who, oh man, he really, he was shaky in AAA coming off his injury. And then he had one really good start, and everyone's like, oh, it's Kodai Senga. It's like, no, we have seen this before. It's the same thing with Francisco Alvarez. It's like, I don't care that Francisco Alvarez has beat the timeline by 4 weeks, by a month, by 6 weeks, I don't care because he's still ass. like he could be a freak, in his recovery,
man.
but he is still ass. I would rather him actually take the time, work on skills that I think he maybe he's still kind of young. He could maybe still, become a competent hitter, defender, have a good approach, all that. But no, he is focused on, hitting the ground running. Anyways, this isn't about Francisco Alvarez. It's about Kodai Senga, who sucked. The final line was 4 innings, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. It's been the name of the game with Senga. Just has no control ever. Doesn't really know where his pitches are going right now. I will say a lot of all the damage happened in the first inning. So 3 scoreless innings for Senga if you really want to take something out of this start. But it wasn't good. And Mark Vientos, the king of meaningless home runs, hit a meaningless home run. I saw something on Twitter which was interesting about Mark Vientos real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that someone posted and was like, Mark Vientos is so lucky that Brett Beatty's on the team because Brett Beatty has been underwhelming as this highly touted prospect, but he will never get talked about the way that Mark Vientos gets talked about because Vientos is so bad and so unabashedly confident. And Beatty just, has a different personality, whatever. But it's like if Vientos wasn't on this team, it's like Beatty would get a lot of flack because he has been
He would,
utter disappointment. Vientos, just like, hit a home run, meaningless. I was expecting to see it on his Instagram. I didn't. And then the final game was finally a great start from Nolan McLean.
Amazing start.
7 innings, 1 unearned run, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. This is what we have seen from Nolan McLean in the past. And we haven't really seen it the last, 6 weeks? Probably last 8 starts has been really shaky for Nolan McLean. And so to see this come back was amazing. Because this is the Nolan McLean that was advertised. I know he's still a young kid, but you look at all these pitchers taking a huge step forward this year. You look at Chase Burns, huge step forward. Jacob Misiorowski, huge step forward. Cam Schlittler, huge step forward. And then you looked at McLean's first month, and you're like, oh, here he is taking this huge step forward. Team USA, all that. And then he just took a huge step back. So this was a really encouraging start from him. I need more of it. The Reds' offense, despite putting up so many runs against the Mets, are not a feared offense without Ellie De La Cruz, especially.
Yeah.
They faced them without Ellie, so it was a bad series. But you think, okay, game 3, McLean did really well. The Mets have some momentum coming into the series, and then they take on the Phillies, and the first game they won.
I was like, oh my god.
This was the game that they had to win, right? You look at the schedule.
I was so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, Lindor, leading the charge offensively. I'm like, maybe they are gonna,
not Lindor. Lindor wasn't there. I don't know why that's sad. Lindor's hurt, but I think it meant Juan Soto. I want to say. I don't know why that says Lindor.
Hey guys, listen, that's not my fault. That's Brett's fault.
That's live television, folks. But anyways, the first game is the game that you have to win. You look at the schedule and you see Aaron Nola and you barbecue chicken, Aaron Nola, let's cook,
There you go.
And then you look at the rest of the schedule, the rest of the series, and you see Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler, and you say, wow, we really need to win this first game because they're not going to win these next 2. And that is exactly how it went. Manaea looked good again. Manaea has looked better as of late. I don't know if anyone
look good against the Braves as well. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone will take on that contract, but if they will, or if the Mets will.
Anybody wants them, come get them. Yeah,
literally, that's literally like it's gonna be a fire sale for the Mets, seeing as how it is right now. They had to win this game, and luckily they did. It was dicey though for a little bit. It was really dicey, but the Mets pulled it out 6-4. Game 2. Let's talk about it.
We were heading home. Before you go into it, we were heading home, and I was thinking to myself, I asked Liv, I was like, hey, Liv, can you look up the Mets score? And she just goes, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Game 2. Let's talk about it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Wow. On national television, Freddie Peralta put up a triple-double. 10 hits, 10 earned runs. It was awful. And this is Freddie Peralta. This is not Freddie Peralta. That's not fair. But this has been Freddie Peralta the entire year. Just magnified a little bit, right? Because he was terrible. He was an absolute disaster. And I saw the report that he wanted, Max Fried money from the Yankees a couple weeks ago. And man, good luck. Good luck getting it. I hope you get it somewhere else because you're not getting it from the Mets. I will trade him tomorrow if the Mets are out of it. Let's be clear. The Mets are out of it, and they should get a haul back for Freddie Peralta based on how starting pitching is valued. Right? I think back to the Trevor Rogers trade a couple years ago where the Marlins got the Marlins got Mayo and Stowers. Like that was a haul. And Peralta has a better track record. But Freddie Peralta was such a disaster. It was the first inning and the game was over once again. Like it was just so bad. And Schwarber just went nuclear. 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. It
The
was
guy's just
just,
on another planet right now.
and
I
it's
will
like,
say.
I mean, the game was over when it became 2-0. When they scored more than one run, the Phillies, the game was over because you're not scoring anything off of Sanchez. Like, you really just
Yeah,
aren't. Like, he's just that good. And Freddie Peralta, man, I don't know. Luckily, it doesn't look like the Mets have really given up anything because Sproat has looked really bad. Jet Williams is still in the minors, but this is not what we expected. This is
yeah,
not at
not
all
at
what
all.
we expected.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I really don't like. This is a credit to the Brewers staff, right, and their coaching staff because they seem to think that they could get everything they wanted out of him, and then they traded him. So good for them. Or is it the Mets? Just the Mets being the Mets. Good player comes over and forgets how to pitch, right? Like, it just got really ugly really quick. We'll talk about it some more on the Phillies side. Harper hit a cycle, maybe, if we want to call it that.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah,
But
but it was bad. And then Game 3, Sunday Night Baseball. Ugh! Way to ruin a Sunday night by pitching David Peterson. Like, just awful, man. Awful, awful, awful. I don't know why they continue to shove David Peterson down our throats. Give him an opener. He's been so much better as an opener. You're going
yep,
against Wheeler, who always pitches the Mets well. You know you need some length out of Peterson because Freddie Peralta just killed your bullpen the game before. And yeah, Peterson walked the first two of the batters, first two batters of the game, what led to a quick hole. Like, it was over. It was over very, very quickly, and that has kind of been the thesis of the Mets last whole season. Let's call it the whole season, right? They haven't even felt competitive in most of these games, and honestly, like, they have nowhere to turn. Their rotation is one of the worst in baseball, highlighted by Freddie Peralta, right? Like, it is just. I just don't know where they turn. They're getting Scott back hopefully this week, maybe next. But a rotation of what? Scott, Sanga, McLean, Peralta, and some stuff. Like, it's just not good enough. It really isn't. And they have nobody coming to save them. Like, it's not like they have like obviously they have Wenninger and you've been calling for him, but it's not like I can expect him to come up and just be this absolute savior for the Mets.
right.
It's just been, it was a disappointing week. Like, you these are games that if you want to make up any ground in the standings, you have to win these. You have to win these games of the teams that are ahead of you. Reds are ahead of them, Phillies are ahead of them, and they just squandered their chance. And they play the Phillies a lot more throughout the year, so maybe they get it back, but it's not looking good.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, I'm like, let's be real. The Phillies are the best team in the NL East right now. I'm like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like there's not really much to be argued about there. I'm like,
Hmm.
they are genuinely playing the best baseball. Schwarber is currently playing like an MVP candidate. I'm like, let's be
Crazy.
real. I'm like,
Crazy.
it's just incredible stuff. And Harper obviously has truly now found his stride, and it
Hmm.
really, really,
Yeah,
it
we were
really,
dead
really
wrong.
seems
We were
like.
dead wrong.
Oh, absolutely. And so listen, man, the Phillies are a very dangerous baseball team, and they really took it out on the Mets. So that second game was obviously tough, but they scored a lot of
Hmm.
runs, and it's just the offense just especially for the Mets currently just really could not keep up. So it's tough, but the Phillies are genuinely, very good right now. So, speaking of the former best team in the NL East right now, the Braves, man, the Atlanta Braves,
Looking human. Looking very human.
looking very human right now. Lost 7 of 8. Going including this Giant series, two really really bad losses. The weather has been absolutely awful in Atlanta recently. That first game, we should have not even played. Holmes
Hmm.
was out there, could barely throw a baseball, but then again, his command has been sucked, and it depends on who you ask in the Braves fandom if that was the rain or if that was, the stuff. Obviously, he starts in San Diego tonight, so we'll see how he does in San Diego. But it was really really bad, and then just another loss. I'm like, obviously the offense was, significantly more competent, but it was just tough. And then the last game was rained out in the Giants series, so it's not much to talk about there. It was just honestly really bad. The offense continues to struggle. But the main series, the weekend series, was where the Braves finally did win, a series again after losing 7 of 8. The first game was a crazy game, 1-3-2. Um, when the Braves are winning these baseball games, they are very low scoring. This offense has really, really struggled recently. And so these games are, fairly low scoring when they are winning
Yeah,
them.
I mean they're missing a lot of offensive firepower. Obviously,
Yeah.
they got Baldwin back, but they didn't have him for a month.
Yeah, and other than
Acuna,
that, yeah, and other than that leadoff homer for Baldwin in that first Giants game, he actually has not was not super good in the Milwaukee or Giants series,
mhm,
other than that leadoff homer.
right?
But yeah, so facing off against the Miz, I was like, oh my god, it was like the boogeyman, man. I was like, oh my goodness, is he gonna throw a perfect game? I don't know. And for the first five, it really looked like, I'm like, it wasn't a perfect game. I think we did get one hit, but in the sixth, man, Mateo and Ozzy single, and a Matty walk set up Mr. Two Outs, Mauricio Dubon. He hit the single,
This guy.
and yeah, this guy, it was 2-1, man. Crazy. Of Dubon's 42 RBIs this season, 54.8% of them have come with 2 outs and runners in scoring position.
That's
I'm like,
incredible.
I'm like, that's an insane stat.
Yeah.
I'm like, what I will say, when people aren't on, he's grounding out and he's flying
Right,
out.
right.
But
But
I'm
listen,
like,
if he can hit when they're on, that's kind of all that
that
matters.
that's really all that
I
matters.
take
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, getting that hit against the Miz, where pretty much in majority of other situations, Miz is getting that out. That was
Hmm.
crazy, man. So that was super clutch. That was awesome to see. Made it 2-1. Yaz added a solo home run in the eighth. We do get a solo home run every so often, and believe it or not, for Yaz, it is usually in a really big moment. So I'm like, he has been absurdly mid, but he does kind of run into one every so often, and that home run was very much needed because, as I've said, that 7-8-9, we've talked about that they've been super good, but
Right.
Iglesias has kind of been going back to what we're used to from him, still getting the save.
Yeah.
Still getting the save, but he loves to make it a heart attack situation. Man on second and third, Bryce Terang. I was like, oh my God, this is a 3-run home run, or he's going to get a hit, because Terang has just been absolutely absurd
He's
this
such
year.
a stud. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And he gets the hit, and he comes up, gets the single, and I'm like, because Churio's on second. And I'm
Guy
like, oh
can
my God,
run.
here. The guy can run. And Eli White in left field guns Churio at the plate. It was so freaking sick. Gets him at the plate. Just a great tag from Baldwin. And then Iggy struck out Contreras to get that 3-2 win. So I'm like, that was awesome. Just getting that win. And it really felt like that was a big win for us. And then
Hmm.
game two, I was at that game. I was at game two with my friend Lane. Shout out Lane. I told him to listen to this podcast because I would shout him out.
Shout out, Lane.
And we went to that game, and listen, man, Ozzy did it all. 2 home runs, including that walk-off home run. Man, the stadium just lost its mind. I'm like, I will say, obviously, the Braves have had a great season, but with this kind of 6 out of 7, 7 out of 8 loss streak here, I'm like, the fans are kind of clamoring to kind of
Hmm.
get back on track here, and they got back on track. And listen, the Braves were facing, because I'm like, it was only a 4-3 win, those 4-3 win, star lefty Sale and Harrison facing
That
off.
was a
Uh,
crazy pitcher's duel. That was awesome.
yeah, absolutely. And Sale looked great. I'm like 5 2/3, 7 punchies. It was actually an Aussie error that set up the 2 earned runs
Hmm.
in the sixth inning there. And he came out. Didier Fuentes did get the strikeout to kind of keep it where it was in that moment. But yeah, man, I'm like, Sale was great. I'm like, it just was honestly that error which kind of set him up, which should have been a double play in that sense. And listen, man, he got it, with the game on a line. Give me against a lefty. Give me Ozzy Albies. The bloop single. Ozzy with the perfect opportunity to send the fans home, and he did it, man. And I just don't think there's a better switch hitter from the right side in a clutch moment, man. I'm like, he is truly, from the right side there. I'm like, it is just incredible what he can do in a clutch moment. So that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, and that makes me fearful for any opposing pitcher in the playoffs, because this guy loves the moment, right? Like, he loves being the guy to bring them the win. So just absolutely clutch hitting from Ozzy. And yeah, like you said, I don't think there's a better switch hitter from the right side.
Yeah. So I feel like we can agree on that. Game 3. Let's all say it in unison here. Bret was right. In his last 5 starts, Elder has an 8.3 run ERA and has given up 24 earned runs. 24 earned runs. Oh my God, Bryce Elder, you suck. Oh my God, that is so bad.
Liam the Tank ridiculous. Right here. Liam the Tank. Let it out, buddy. Let it out.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. 24 earned runs, man. I'm like, that is ridiculous. Bryce, you suck. Like, oh my God, it's so frustrating. I'm like, I don't know. I just don't understand if it's when it heats up and hitters just have so much more. But what I don't understand is it's just like, do hitters just decide to be significantly more patient, or are things just floating more for Elder? I don't really, I don't know what it is, but 24 earned runs is insane. Things have fallen off a cliff for him. I'm like, the offense ended up being pretty quiet. I'm like, they did get 4 runs, but it was a 9-4 loss. As you had indicated with most of the Mets games, it was pretty much over at the beginning. I'm like, an 8-run second inning for the Brewers, capped off by a 3-run home run from William Contreras for them. I'm like, it was terrible. So Elder, it was awful. Obviously, he has to find it. He has to find it because we don't really have many other, if any, kind of rotation pieces that can really replace him right now. So
it's interesting too, because I was gonna look up. I'm looking up his, like, I think an indicative stat is through the order, right? Like, first time through the order, second time through the order, third time through the order, and there's nothing really like super standout. His ERA gets worse as the game goes on, but that's kind of like most pitchers. As a hitter sees a pitcher more, they get more accustomed, they know what they're throwing. And I'm seeing 3.31 first through the order, 3.78 through the second time, and 3.91 through the third. So, yeah, I don't really know what it is. Like, there's no real rhyme or reason. I'm curious if there's something mechanically wrong. Like, when a player is usually this bad, it feels like there is a IL stint on the horizon, right? Like, it feels they will either, like, phantom IL them, or, say they have inflammation or right side tightness or something. Like, it feels like he needs to go back down and kind of work some things out.
But my thing about that is, like, that you definitely see that a lot more when it has to do with velocity pitchers. Mm-hmm. But Elder doesn't have velocity, man. Right. It's never going to be a drop in velocity type situation like Strider it is. Yeah. It's just like, if that slider for Elder is not his best pitch, if he generally can't get that swing and miss, and that sinker is not moving away from batters, man, if it's just floating over, like, it's an 89, 90 mile per hour sinker, man. I'm like, the reason that Greg Maddux was so good is that hitters would see the sinker on one side of the zone, it would be on the other side in an instant, and they feel like they were just constantly rolling over it. You know what I mean? And that is when those hitters are good, because they're aggressive, because they see that sinker and they think they're going to get on it. But if it's just constantly floating over the middle, they're going to sit on it. So, yeah, it was really tough. They did get the series win, though, so that was a bounce back. So we'll see how they do in San Diego.
But a losing week for the Braves. Love to see that. Love to see that.
I'm sure you do. But let's talk about the first change in the standings that we have seen in quite some time. The Miami Marlins are now in 3rd place. So congratulations to them. They did lose the series against the Phillies, but they beat up on a San Francisco Giants team.
Which is what you do. When you are a good team, you beat up on the bad teams. And good for the Marlins, because they did it.
Yeah, they did it, and the Braves couldn't do it. The Braves couldn't do it. The Braves couldn't beat the Giants.
Yeah.
And I'm like, quickly about the Giants, man. God, did you see that Rafael Devers
That
clip,
Devers thing,
man?
yeah.
God, dude, what a drama queen. That guy has always been a flippin' drama queen. I hate
Yeah.
Rafael Devers. He sucks. But yeah, man, I'm like, Owen Casey went 4 for 8 with 4 RBIs and a home run. He fell a triple shy of the cycle in game 1. Game 2, Max Meyer, he is 8-0.
He's
Now,
crazy. Crazy.
owns the second best record
Yeah.
to open a season in Marlins history behind a 9-0 start from Livon Hernandez in 1997. If you knew that stat, comment and let us know. And if you tell us that you do know that stat, you're lying.
I knew that stat.
Oh yeah, liar.
I knew that stat.
But yeah, Max Meyer, that's crazy, man. I'm like, it is truly been an incredible season for him. Lopez got up to 100 hits, being the first person to hit that mark this year.
Crazy that he's like, not even top 3 in all-star voting. That's where I have a problem with the fan vote, because right now it is Abrams, Betts, De La Cruz, Trey Turner, Otto Lopez. You can't tell me Mookie Betts has been better than Otto Lopez. You can't tell me Trey Turner has been better than Otto Lopez. The other two, sure, but Otto Lopez should be third in all-star voting. Like, he has had such a great season.
It's not, and listen, it's not pretty. I'm like, a lot of those hits are squibbers. A lot of those hits are, just up the middle, and the guy gets
counts the same.
But it counts the same, man, and he should be rewarded for that. And it has truly been a dream June for the Marlins, who own the best record in baseball, a 14-4 record in June, and that has helped them jump the Nats for third place.
The only thing is that they did put Liam Hicks on the IL this weekend, so
yes,
that's a big loss, and I do wonder if they bring up Agustin Ramirez from the minors, because right now Joe Mack is the only catcher on the roster, so I'd be curious to see.
Well, I'm like, they got to bring up. Well, they got to bring up someone. Or
but
someone.
I'm curious to see if if he's taken step forward, because he was really struggling before he got sent down, both offensively and defensively. So
absolutely
curious to see, similar to like the Francisco Alvarez demotion last year. Curious to see if that'll help him. We'll see.
Yeah.
Time will tell. But yeah, onto the Nationals. Man, let's just a moment for CJ Abrams. He has been
he's just
so good. And
so incredible.
Yeah, I just read the All-Star
voting for Abrams.
Yeah.
I'm voting for Abrams every time over Ha-Seong Kim. Screw you, Ha-Seong Kim. You suck.
Damn, everyone's catching strays today from Liam. Abrams has just been so good. Like, you could argue between, like, you could flip a coin for who has been the Nationals MVP this year. Wood, Abrams. I think Abrams has been a little bit more consistent, honestly.
Yeah.
So far this season, because he's just been so good. And in this series, 3 home runs, solo home run in each game, which is just so fun. And the Nationals, man, like, that's the thing. Like, Michaelis sucked in game 1 after PJ Poulin went shut out, but that's the thing with the Nationals. Like, you can have crappy performances on pitching wise, and they can still just like dink and dime you to death, right? Like, they can just like they
Nasim Nunez. Nasim Nunez had a 634 average and
bloop and a blast, man. Like, that's all they need. Like, just it's been really impressive, honestly. Their defense has been really good. And you're seeing just like a young team that has hit the restart button, right? They traded Gore, they traded all these big guys that would get them some pieces back, and you're seeing those pieces starting to come to life, which is honestly the only thing you can ask for from a rebuilding team. So I mean, they have a shot to make the playoffs. I don't know. I'd be curious to see if they push for the playoffs at the deadline, assuming that this is what they're they'll like hover right above 500. I'd be curious to see if they push, because I do think that they're like a year away from really contending.
It's curious to see who presses the poverty button and who doesn't. Like, is it going to be the Marlins or is it going to be the Nationals?
Well, it's so tightly bunched, right? Like, the division's likely over. And then the wild card, it's like anyone's guess, but there's 8 teams sandwiched 3 games out of the wild card. So honestly, I think the trade deadline will be, last year it was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
But I think it'll come down to the wire. I think people will really be deciding whether or not they're buyers or sellers up until like 2-3 days before, because it's just there's so much parity in the National League specifically right now that it could really go any way. But the team that probably will get one of those wild cards is the Philadelphia Phillies, and they beat up on the Marlins. They had a great week, 4-2 in their week record. Wheeler just dominant. Schwarber dominant. Painter in that last game of the series sucked and got sent down. Just really has had an awful start to his career. Like a 7 ERA, I want to say, like 0-8, like just really rough. I'm not sure what they want him to work on in the minors. Obviously, he's not as bad as this, right? Like, you have to believe that there is going to be some positive regression. But the control has just been terrible. And yeah, we talked about the Phillies already, so do we really have to talk about them again? But one thing that I will talk about,
it's very important
it's so important. Bryce Harper did not have a cycle. He
did not hit for the cycle.
He did not hit for the cycle.
It was not a triple.
Say what you want.
It was not
he got some home cooking from the Phillies, official score, because that was not a triple. That was a double and then an advance on to third on the throw to home. Right? If he threw it to third, he would have been out by 20 feet. So let's just be clear. But listen, if you have a home run, 2 doubles, and a single in one game, it's pretty good. But that was not a cycle.
And what people don't understand, and I got the MLB rule book right here, and this is what it says. It says, when with one or more runners on base, the batter advances more than one base on a safe hit, and the defensive team makes an attempt to put out the preceding runner. They did not make an attempt to put out the preceding runner. They didn't throw the ball to third base. It does not matter that Harper was running to third. It doesn't matter that he was running to third. They have to attempt to get him out. And if they attempt to get him out,
so ridiculous.
Do not get him out,
so ridiculous.
Then it's a triple. Like that's just not the way that it works. It's called a fielder's choice.
Just more fuel to LOL Mets, right? Like, just the Mets are getting blown out. Schwarber goes crazy, and Harper hits for the cycle, although he didn't really. So, whatever. Argue with the wall. Argue with us, because we like to argue. So we'll argue with you if you really want to. And then Zach Wheeler was just sick again. Schwarber, 29 home runs. I think pretty confidently that as long as he stays healthy, home run leader this year, right? Yeah. Judge has been hurt. Yeah. I don't know when he's coming back. He's not leading. I don't even know who could be like anywhere close, honestly. Like, maybe Olsen, but he'd have to go on a real big heater.
Well, Jordan, right?
Jordan. Ben Rice, maybe. But honestly, like, Schwarber, it seems like he just hits one every day. Like, it just seems like... It really does. Seems like he's going to hit his 30th home run this week, and we're still weeks away from the All-Star break. So just a sick season from Schwarber. Let's move on to the panic meter. I will go first.
Okay.
I'm going to go with an 8 because it's getting late early, right? It is not even July, and the Mets are out of it. Any semblance that they can get back as a contender, like I like, when they rattle off 2 wins in a row, or they take a series, it's like, oh, maybe, but then they lose the series, they lose the following series. And so until they become a 500 team, until their wins equal their losses, they cannot be considered a contender. I don't care what you say. They don't have the pitching, they don't have the offense to keep up with their bad pitching. One thing that they do have is bullpen, and they should be trading all of it at the trade deadline, because every team needs bullpen help in the playoffs, and the Mets bullpen has been one of the best this season, which, only adds fuel to the fire for how bad their pitching has been, because if your pitching was at least decent, your bullpen could have kept you in a lot of these games. But they haven't been. And so their pitching is just a joke. I don't know where they go from here. Get rid of Peterson. Get rid of Minaya. Get rid of Senga. Get rid of Freddie Peralta. Like, it is just... I don't. There's no light at the end of the tunnel right now. There really isn't. It's just really really bad pitching, and they have a pitching farm in the minors, but they're probably 2 or 3 years away from being really really impactful major leaguers. So I'm really worried about this team.
Yeah, I understand that. And believe it or not, my panic meter is at 6 currently. A
Hmm.
685 OPS in the last 30 days, which is 27th in the majors from the Braves. And obviously, slumps are a possibility. I'm like, obviously,
Yeah,
that
they're a part
slump
of the
was
game. They're
eventually
a part
going
of the game.
there, but I'm like, this seems more like a pattern. Right now. I'm like, our games have been extremely low scoring. The only capable starters that we currently have are Perez and Sale. And listen, those 2 games against Milwaukee, Perez and Sale pitched, and we
Hmm.
won those games. You know what I mean? But Strider is now down, so it's Elder, Holmes, and Richie who are our rotation right now. Obviously, Elder looks incredibly bad. Holmes looks very bad, and Richie, we don't really know what to expect. Obviously, he's really struggled, but there is a chance that he might have a good. He did have like one good pitching performance when he came up the first time, but I'm like, Hurston Waldrip has looked pretty good in AAA, and it
Hmm.
does seem like there's a possibility that he should be back shortly. But listen, I keep seeing it online. Apparently, Tarek Skubal is
I do keep seeing that as well.
a potential possibility for the Braves, and the fan base is currently divided. I see half the fan base, and I'm part of this part, where it's like, listen, we don't know what's happening next year. And if these 2 top prospects, which is apparently what they're asking for, 2 top 100 prospects to go over to Detroit for Scooble, and this trade wins us the World Series, I'm like, that's a no-brainer. I don't care what's happening in 2030. If we win our second World Series of the 2020s, who cares? I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, we can have a terrible season the next year. If we get our second World Series, man,
He's
I'm
been
like,
pretty mediocre since coming back from injury, I will say, Scooble. I think he'll
yeah,
obviously get back to the point where he was
yeah,
at, but
yeah.
right now it hasn't been
I'm
great.
like,
But it was
yeah,
who would it be? It'd be Cam Nitty and who else?
probably, well, Caminiti and Hartman,
Hartman.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caminiti and Hartman. I'm like, I'm taking it. I'm taking it 100%. Put a Braves uniform on Tarek Skubal. I want it. I really don't care what it costs. I really think that in the long run in the playoffs, we saw how he was in the playoffs last
Hmm.
year. So I don't need to give you any
True.
other explanation than
Sure.
how he was last year. So yeah, I'm going for it. As far as the player of the series is concerned, I'm like, gotta be Ozzy. 5 for 11 with 2 home runs and 4 total RBIs in that Brewers series. I'm like, he was great. Awesome. Continues to deliver, as we said, one of the best switch hitters in all of baseball.
Hmm.
And is really obviously
Hmm.
gonna be integral to this Braves moving forward.
Yeah, player of the series for the Mets. Obviously, it is Freddie. No, I'm playing. Freddie Peralta. No, probably Juan Soto. Right, like when you lose like the way that the Mets did this series, it's hard to give a player of the series. Maybe I'll backdate it and give a player of the series to the Reds series. And Bichette was really good once again, and Nolan McLean was really good.
Yeah.
But Soto still, two solo home runs, got on base a lot, but no one else showed up. So, kind of wins by default because, yeah, no one else really came to play.
Uh,
Um,
my
and
final announcements are vote for Byron Buxton in the All
Buxton,
Star
yep.
race. Acuna does not deserve to be there as a Braves fan. We need to stop voting for Acuna. Give those votes to Harris and Buxton.
The
Um,
outfield should be Carroll, Soto, Walker. That is what the NL outfield should be.
no, the NL. Oh, sorry. Yes, NL. Yes. No, it should be
It shouldn't be
Harris or Walker.
Harris.
It should be Harris. What do you mean? He's
Harris?
the best center fielder in baseball.
Come on, dude. Come on. Whatever.
No, it should be.
No. No, it shouldn't be. You know what? Let us know what you think because clearly Liam is having some homerism right now.
Oh my
He's
god.
kind of seeing rosy colored glasses, but you can't have everybody in the All Star game. Like this isn't,
We're not gonna have everybody in the All Star game.
whatever, whatever. This has been Division Therapy, episode 20, baby.
Good night.